Okay, so just, sorry, we're at 8:58, so just gonna give it a couple more minutes. And sorry, Kathleen, I sent you some actions as well. Were those okay?
I did get those. Can you hear me okay?
Yep,
Oops.
I lost you now. Kathleen, if you can hear us, you froze.
I can hear you.
Okay,
Move it again.
Can you hear me?
yes, you can hear you. And you're
Okay.
moving again. All right, so
Yeah.
just 1
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, everything froze for a minute there. I did get your email the other day. I will loop over to in the Wetlands Commission and toss out the idea for the a watershed program. Thanks for some leads on potential speakers. I think that's super helpful. And that's kind of all I have for you right now. Just I'll double check with them.
All right, thanks. Then- all right.
And so Robin, I have, there are pictures, Harbor Watch and the science team to add to that application. So we're all set, I think.
Okay, great. All right, so it's 9 o'clock. If other people jump in, that's great. I just want to quickly get this out there because I know everyone's busy. In order to submit our application this spring for silver certification, we need to do 2 additional equity actions. The equity action we did originally was the farmers market during the pandemic, or the beginning of it. I met with the equity coach through Sustainable Connecticut a few times, and they don't really technically say no to anything, but they kind of were like, eh. So what I did get a kind of yes on was for our one of the first new equity actions was actions 9.3 and 9.4, which is about food waste, as well as how to recycle additional material. Tiger, we spoke about this before, but what we've already started doing it where we had an insert sent out in the tax letter this summer, and that could be included on it because we were reaching out to the public. But what we could also do is basically what we did with the first equity action. We could have more of those printed out. We could go to the transfer station. We could have a nonprofit do it, Plant New Canaan's done in the past, and just give them out to people and answer any questions. Aggie at Lapham is interested in having a program at Lapham regarding the transfer station and food scrap recycling and recycling in general. She was interested in February having an in-person program. As well as what we did with our last equity action is we did a survey monkey when we reached out, which was sent to Lapham, Staying Put, and the Schoolhouse Apartments. We could do something similar, as well as having on the new insert we have printed up, if Conservation Commission will pay for it, we could have a link to the survey. We'd need to discuss what would be on the survey, and I can come up with some things, or Tiger, you might want to, since it's the transfer station, your domain, but and then just have people leave some comments. It's really just so we are seen as reaching out to the public and hearing back their feedback, and if anything changes. In our first equity action, what we thought our narrative was completely wrong, what people wanted, and actually Sustainable Connecticut liked that. So sorry, I'm going fast. Any questions on that one?
The programming at Lapham, do you want to do something similar to what we did at the library or with the library?
Yeah, not as, I mean, it's going to be a smaller group, but it could just be about the food scrap recycling and just about, like, Aggie was interested in the map and how people could use it, as well as let people know about the different passes. She didn't know if people knew about that, the levels, for if you have private collection and if you don't have private collection. So basically just information about what's at the transfer station, like the textiles and anything extra people can use, and what you can go in and use if you are also not a pass holder was one of the things we discussed, like, dropping off your textiles or picking up the compost, not the food
Right.
scraps, compost. So I think it was, and then just mostly Q&A from, but I'll, what I'll do is I'll email her back, Tiger, and I'll CC you on it
Yep.
to get an idea of more what the program would be.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, so that should require it. So for silver certification, we need to do 3 equity actions altogether. We should still be able to use our farmer's market one. As I said, I met with the equity coach a few times and things got kind of dismissed. So there were a couple that she didn't dismiss. And just to add, some of these actions themselves seem like equity actions, so I couldn't use them. But one is action, it's 10.2 on the Sustainable Connecticut. It's improve air quality in public spaces. I didn't know if this would be good because of, you know, pot being legalized, if this was something we wanted to tackle and reach out to the public. What it discusses is that the town passing an ordinance or resolution about prohibiting smoking and tobacco use in outdoor public spaces such as parks, recreational facilities, and at public events. But that could be something to get public input. I know I was walking on Main Street the other night and it's legal, but you know, smelled a lot of pot. So I think it came from a house though, so totally legal. But I didn't know if that was something that we wanted to throw out there as an equity action.
You're talking in a public space, just not smoking in a public space?
Yeah, so
In general?
what they're talking about is putting up signs. I mean, this is also under the no idling, but yeah, they're talking about like restricting areas that there's no smoking whatsoever in let's say in like downtown New Canaan, or obviously within certain school districts. But it's funny because Sustainable Connecticut used to never give points for ordinances but now they are. But I didn't know if this was something maybe too controversial or if something it's kind of timely or not.
I'm good with it, but I'm a non-smoker, so
Right. I know there was an issue.
I can't stand it in a public space. I can't stand going to the beach and somebody's upwind of me. Then I got to pick up my blanket and go upwind to him. So it's kind of each time I can't stand it. So
Yeah,
but
I know.
that's me.
I was in Burlington, Vermont this summer where I usually get hit with pot, which I hate the smell of, but I didn't this summer because now they have no smoking in town, and I don't know, it's helped. But if people can reach out to me, email me if you guys are interested in that one, just let me know, because I know there was an issue at the pool. Was it 10 years ago? There was a fight because someone was smoking there. Someone didn't think we were allowed, but you actually are allowed to smoke at the pool or in certain areas or something like that. So I didn't know if this would be timely. Anyone else want to dive into that or no?
Do you want to?
there's an issue with- Go ahead.
I would support it. I don't think smoking should be allowed in town or in parks where children play, etc.
And I know P&Z just had something on a cigar store opening up, and it wouldn't be stopping anything like that. It was just, go smoke in your home. Don't smoke on the street, especially cigars. Those are the worst.
Yeah, I know a lot of people smoke cigars at the 4th of July. It's very annoying.
Yeah. So, I mean, we could tackle that. And it could be that we get feedback from the community where they don't want that.
Right.
So, they might see it as infringement of the right, but, the family next to them on the picnic blanket may feel differently. So,
There's an issue with P&Z on this. It was on today's Thursday, so it was on Tuesday. P&Z voted to prohibit the sale or manufacture of cannabis products in town. So that went through, but you still smoke it. As I remember, Lynn may have the details on this, is that if you ban it, according to the state, you have to have a smoking zone for people who want to light up and spark a doobie. So that's a state issue, which is out of our hands. And so the issue of banning tobacco use, but the state requiring the town to allow marijuana use seems a bit incongruous. But I have to refresh myself in the legal details of this. But of the two, you know, marijuana use, I think, is different from or worse than tobacco use. Is that, you know, you could be walking, as you've seen in Burlington, you go to Las Vegas, you go to a lot of other places, you get a contact high walking on the sidewalk. And so you're about to drive your 3-year-old home and you don't feel you can drive home safely. That's kind of a different deal than someone just lit up a Lucky next to you. So there are those issues to think about too.
So I'll reach out to Sustainable Connecticut because, so you're saying, John, that you can't have a blanket no smoking zones?
I'd have to, I mean, Lynn may remember the details on this, and we had an attorney speak on this matter, so you may be able to follow up on this, but I remember that there was some type of, if it was allowed, maybe it was allowed, you had to designate a public area, in other words, town property to smoke. I can't remember the details, but all I'm saying is that there are state laws regarding marijuana that you may want to look into, and assuming you want to actually light it up as opposed to using edible. But
Right.
there's that.
Yeah,
The other with
blanket any smoking.
the
But,
other issue, tobacco has to do with a pollution issue. You don't have it so much with cigars, because if you take a cigar and throw a butt on the ground, it's going to disintegrate because it's a leaf. Same with pipe tobacco, assuming you're not going to start a fire anywhere. But cigarette butts do not disintegrate. And so that becomes a pollution issue, which is a separate issue, but something to think about if there's no place to properly dispose of your cigarette.
all right, so I'm gonna reach back out to Sustainable Connecticut then with your information, John, and also because if it's something where then we have to designate smoking
So-
areas, I don't want to touch it.
So Robin, I can circle back with the town attorney. I'm not sure if we have to. There was something in there, but I think there was a caveat that you had to be a municipality greater than I want to say it was 50,000 people, but I don't recall. There was something in there for the larger cities when they ban it. I think we were exempt. I went through this with council a couple of times. And I mean, we can go back if you want to circle back with me. We can definitely discuss this off.
Let me circle back with you because let me reach out to Sustainable Connecticut first to see if they have information rather than going to the town attorney. But if they don't, then we'll do that. But if it is the situation where then we have to have zones where people can't smoke, I would say no. But that sounds like people are interested in that action. The next possible equity action would be 8.4, which is the community match fund. Wasn't really that strong, but we could get the information out to all the nonprofits. We could reach out to people. We could reach out to schools to let them know that this is something, get their feedback. It wasn't the strongest, but she didn't say no. The other action, which I got kind of an okay for, was action 3.7, which is water conservation, which is kind of a hard sell right now when we're getting 2 to 3 inches of rain every time it rains. But we were actually in a drought this spring. And we actually, the Conservation Commission did put on a program of this spring about with Aquarian, with Ulrich, who's the VP of their sustainability on conserving water. And then the last one, which I kind of got the okay, was action 2.3, which is inventory and promote local retail options. I thought this might be interesting because it could help our local retailers, but we could hear back from residents about what they want to see in downtown, not what would encourage them maybe to shop local, and kind of get a dialogue between the retailers and the residents going. And that's really of that whole list, what I thought wasn't too controversial or too weak. So that's it. So it sounds like the smoking one might be of interest if we don't have to have a smoking zone. Does anyone have any other feedback?
Hey, Robin, for promoting local retail, we've got TDAC, right? That's running.
We do have TDEC.
And you guys are still looking at ARPA funds, and I know that the Chamber of Commerce wanted us to fund their website for a year or two.
Yeah, I think they're getting six. Well, so far it looks like they're getting 60 for a live.
Well, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point, Sven. So we could drop that. So I guess I'll reach out about the smoking. I think it might be a good action only because, you know, these things don't have to end up doing anything, these community actions. With our farmers market one, we thought we were going to be getting transportation for seniors. We were going to get all this information, and literally 80% of the people from the surveys, I think even more than that, said, no, we just want information. We don't want to be driven there. We don't want this. We don't want the service. We just don't know what's going on, and we want better communications. So we can do an equity action and nothing happens because we have heard back. They just want to know that you went through the steps of reaching out to the communities and other organizations and getting their feedback. So it kind of opens up to the community, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I have a question. Regardless of whether we get points or anything, let's ignore the points and just figure out what's a good idea.
Yeah.
You know, for example, is there a sustainability tab on the town website? I'm in front of my computer. I will look it up. I don't think there is, but that may be something to think about, that, you know, here things can, there's a central place where people can find out about sustainability issues in towns, such as the transfer station, that you can pick up free compost, where to drop off your old clothes, recycling, etc. All
So the
these things might be.
Yeah, the Conservation Commission page actually just need to, it's so hard to get to it. But we do try to advertise that we have links, or they have links to programs. Linda, you might want to jump in. They have links to programs on there. They have links to, I believe, the map to the transfer station, where to get compost. It's there. It's just that you have to go to the site, then click on government, and go over to Conservation Commission, click on that. But it is there. We try to highlight like the CPACE program, commercial property assessed clean energy information's on there. There's actually a lot of information on it.
Well, should we somehow proceed in making it more accessible through the website, or is that too difficult?
I think that should be probably brought up at your next meeting.
Okay.
I think that would be a good idea, and also what other things, because I know that we with Plant to Canaan we'll do social media where we direct people to the Conservation Commission page. It's just, you know, when people just want to do one click, it's a little.
Yeah.
Sustainability, though, cuts across various areas, and it's not necessarily just Conservation Commission. So I've always found in business, never make it difficult for the customer to find you and do business with you. If you make it difficult, they won't do it. So you want essentially what I call PhD technology, which is push your dummy. And so one click and you have all of everything in sort of one place. But that's me.
No, and that's what I was saying. The issue is, so I think that should be brought up Conservation Commission, though, because there is money that in the budget for Sustainable Connecticut, and that could be something that we could do as a action. If we could have something on the town's website that's just a quick click of sustainability with all this information, you know, that could count towards points. So I think there could be something there.
All right. I'll request that it be on the agenda for, well, December.
All right.
We can start talking about December.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm going to let everyone go on their day, but so I'll reach out to Sustainable Connecticut about improve air quality in public spaces, and then I'll circle back with Lynn. If that doesn't work, we could do the water conservation maybe. Quick question for everyone here. Sustainable Connecticut, a portion of it, does something for the arts. And one of the things was a resolution for a poet laureate, a town poet laureate, which I never really thought of. But then I looked at all these other towns have it, which kind of shocked me. Is this something, do we think New Canaan would be interested in doing? I didn't think much of it, but I could be wrong.
How does that tie into sustainability?
Well, yeah, that's my issue too. Well, Sustainable Connecticut is supposed to be, its branding is to create thriving communities. And so they do, there's a lot with the arts. And some of the actions, we usually fill those actions, but I had no interest in pursuing it. And then I clicked on some links and all these other towns around us had done it, which, I mean, Westport, which made sense, Stanford, Trumbull.
Do they have a contest? How do they decide who this person is?
Yeah,
I mean, that was my thing. I was wondering if that would become a problem. So I don't know. I'm not that keen on it. If anyone else is, I'm happy to start it. But it's just when I clicked on the application last night, I saw it and I didn't know if anyone. Doesn't sound like there's big interest, is there?
do we know if we have any, anyone in the community who is a published author of poetry?
I looked that up. I saw someone, but it was from a while ago. So that was my concern too. And then I didn't know if this was something that if we did it, all of a sudden would be various people vying for it. Westport has a lot on it, but I'll let it go for now, but just something to think about.
It
And then the
doesn't-
last thing is that if you go to sustainablect.org, you can look at the action. I'll start transferring our old application to the new application because they did change it on me. But if there's any action particular you see you really want to do, please reach out to me. And I've been emailing actions to people based on their various skill sets. But if there's anything you see you'd really want to dive into, I believe we have enough points for silver certification. They have taken away some items, which we did a bike safety class, which was on the old application, and they pulled it, so we never got points for that, or we won't be able to get points for that. But if there's anything you see, please just email me, and we can start work on it. But I'm hoping to get the application in this April. And then I'll loop back with Tiger for the program at Lapham and the Survey Monkey on the transfer station. And if there's, once again, if anything of interest, please email me. Does that work?
Sounds good.
All right. All right. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.